What is going on? Welcome back to Fanatic Journey. So today I want to talk to you on Lucid. I want to go over some of the current data points, talking what big money has been doing as of late, and why this might be the start of something very big. Before I get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So currently it is up 3.82%. We are in power hour, roughly about 30 minutes left in the trading day. 28.91 million shares have been traded. 28.7 is the average. So a lot of big money has been getting into Lucid over the last little bit, and you can even see this very big transaction right here that happened roughly midway throughout the day. So once again, big money has always been allured to Lucid, despite there being no actual news today, no SEC filings, nothing like that to really justify this uptrend. But once again, I'm going to go over all the data points behind the scenes. But as you can kind of see based on this post, it does show a lot of the bigger players in the market, as well as Lucid, all did increase their position during Q3. So they all know that Lucid is going to do something very big. And you can kind of even see this is the latest round of 13Fs, or I guess all of the 13Fs for Lucid. Majority of them have increased their positions. You do see occasionally the random ETF or whatever else did reduce some of their position right here, but very, very small amounts. Because I do feel that the big money in the market knows that the key to success is technology. Every big company out there all has the biggest and the best, most innovative technology. Lucid, I feel like it definitely has what it takes to get up there. The only thing that it's really had difficulties with is just ramping up. So if they would have had that set in stone, this would have been a night and day difference on the share price, and it would be nowhere near this. My own opinion, not a financial advisor, of course. And when it comes to the recent earnings, even though that was very poor, like I said, just the results and the kind of numbers, but Peter and Sherry both gave a little bit of Easter eggs throughout the earnings, more specifically this. And I feel like this is why institutions have been increasing, because they do realize that Lucid's technology is going to make them a very big contender eventually in the EV sector. So against Rivian and Tesla and whoever else. So Sherry's talking about the licensing technology and how it's going to really put Lucid in a very advantageous position. But she does say this: we can possibly help some of these OEMs as a partner. So she's talking how a lot of OEMs are struggling and whatever else. But that one statement is a very big deal, because that would be the very first time that they would be leaving the realm of the PIF umbrella for licensing. So because with Aston Martin recently, and as well, they just actually stated revenue on these earnings from Aston Martin. But once again, I feel like this right here is a very big deal, and this in among itself is going to really put the name, or put Lucid's name on the map. It's just the technology. It does come down to technology. And I feel like a lot of investors really do still like Lucid, despite the crappy production and whatever else numbers. But technology, that's what we are investing in. So once again, I think this is why a lot of institutions still do see a lot of value in Lucid, and it's just being very much heavily manipulated. I've brought that up time and time again. So I'm going to go over shorts. So as of right now, shorts are returning 204,000 shares, 28.3% of the free float is being shorted, 250.68 million shares overall are being shorted, and cost to borrow average is 16.78%. Majority of the day, though, they were actually increasing almost by, looks like 3 million shares, give or take. And it was only until recently, that's when they started to return some of their shares, which caused this kick up in the stock price. So behind the scenes, Lucid is being very much heavily manipulated, but even in among itself with it at 28.3%, that is very high. And the fact that they are returning shares on a green day shows that A, it's justified, and that potentially more upside is coming. Through Interactive Broker, short availability does indicate that there's around 100,000 shares available to be shorted. And while I'm on here, I'll give you a quick overview of what some analysts have recently been doing. So the last one was, I believe, Needham, if I remember correctly right here. So they just gave a downgrade, and that was Chris Pierce, who does have a 29% success rating. So not necessarily the best, but I do feel with a lot of the institutions buying Lucid behind the scenes, analysts are eventually going to warm to Lucid, and again, realize it's not all about production. Obviously, that's a big part of it, but technology is where it is at. And John Murphy has previously stated a lot of that in the past, that they are investing in Lucid based on the technology. So once again, I do feel that bigger and better things might be coming down the pipeline. But even looking right here, so this is all compiled based on 13Fs within Q3. So this is updated information. It does show hedge funds did have roughly about 5.6 million call options, which is a increase of about 41% from the quarter prior. So that does mean that they see a little bit more upside in the foreseeable future. And based on all 13F filers, there was 22.99 million in call options. That was down about 2%. So hedge funds, which is what the big money does have, they see more upside with Lucid. But more specific to today though, there's about $527,000 in calls being purchased versus 502 in puts. I know it might not seem good, but in comparison to the last several days, there was a lot more puts being purchased. So today's a little bit more of a breath of fresh air, so evenly divided. Looking at this shows all the call options, strike prices, expiry dates. Based on this, it is anticipated for it to be above 450, and looking at the puts, it is anticipated to be sub $4. So both extremes based on the technicals. So with it at $4.36, it is between this S1 and the pivot. And I think over the last, I don't know, 2 weeks, I've been saying that it is just going to be trading range bound between these 2 points. So $3.94 is going to be that next strong support that you need to watch for, and then $4.59, which you never know, given this momentum and maybe good GDP numbers, it could be testing that tomorrow. So $4.59 is going to be the next strong resistance. And looking here, number of retail investors have been getting in, and stochastic as of today, you see a nice bullish sentiment starting to form. So I do feel a lot of bigger, better things are coming down the pipeline for Lucid. And big money has been buying throughout this whole time. Once the market does start to kind of show signs of an expansionary stage and not so much fear, you are going to as well see a lot of analysts jumping on board and raising their ratings. But that's just my own opinion, of course, not a financial advisor. If you are looking for a lot of good compiled information, such as analyst ratings, forecasts, everything under the sun, take a look at Interactive Brokers, link in the description below and also the comments for all of this to be completely free. And also on a side note, I know I have brought this up in a previous video, but with that new SEC transparency rule, you are also going to see shorts probably closing out some of their positions by the end of December, because that's when the new SEC transparency rule kicks in. So a lot of shorts won't want to have their hands red with blood, if that makes sense. So it might be easier for them just to leave prior to that rule kicking in. So that might be coming down the pipeline in the next several weeks. So let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments below. Give yourself a shout out. Have you been buying, selling, holding? What have you been doing with Lucid? I actually did get my average down recently to $4.36 in one account at least. So I'm pretty happy with that. And oddly enough, Lucid wasn't on my radar first thing in the morning, but when I did see this, I placed an order. I think it was for 405, but as you can kind of see, once it kind of lifted off right here, it didn't really retrace back down. So if it does somehow get low once again, then this is definitely a very good buying opportunity for myself at least. And also it is to note that it did bounce off of that very strong support. So 398 was the low, and so kind of bounced off of that area. So that's a very strong support. Very good sign. Let me know your thoughts on that as well. One final thing, take advantage of some free shares, and that is with Moomoo. So sign up for an account with Moomoo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So take advantage of that. That's the best deal out there. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, I appreciate all of you watching.